Are you going to fine-tune some aspects of the scheme and make it even more ambitious than it is to get more revenues in?
Depending on what, if once we achieve success, which I'm very confident of, and we are very close to it, of achieving, fulfilling and surpassing this year's target, I think we'll probably look at next year and probably add a few more assets into it and keep going ahead as we go. Fine-tuning is a day-to-day functioning of the government, and you should keep fine-tuning to achieve the end objective. And the end objective is that the private sector must run the economy of the country. The government should be basically a facilitator and a catalyst. Businesses must be run by businesses.
Talking about that, Mr. Kant, we come to the subject of disinvestment, where again, unfortunately, the report card hasn't been too great. I mean, at the end of this fiscal, we might end up with a better number than we are at the moment. But the next year's number, again, surprisingly, has been kept at 65,000 crore. Now, is that, do you think, a sort of signal that the government is now much more, wary of not overcommitting and underperforming, and rather keeping it sort of at manageable levels and then overperforming and on the upside? What do you think is the reason why the number has been reduced this year?
So sort of first, the most difficult of the disinvestments, that's Air India, has been done. And it's been done by taking a whole range of policy decisions. We've also had Neelachal Ispat, which has just been done. But in the coming year, you will have BPCL, BML, Concor, Shipping Corporation of India. Then you'll have last year's, if you read this year's budget in continuity with the last year's, you'll have 2 banks, 1 insurance companies. All of these recommendations have already been made. So they are all at fairly advanced level. And then you have the big mega LIC IPO. So I'm quite hopeful that while the government has been very conservative in the budget, and rightly so, I am quite hopeful that it will not only achieve it, but actually again exceed that target in this year's budget. So it's always better to be less ambitious and actually deliver more, which is what probably the government will do in the coming year.
So tell us a little more about the 2 banks and the insurance company. Where does that stand?
So, we are a recommending agency. The NITI Aayog makes the recommendations. So we've done the recommendations, and those are being discussed, debated, and being taken forward. So I would not like to give the names, but they are at fairly advanced stage.
But Air India was a different problem, which of course is a signal that the government has been able to take the bull by the horns and take a decision on that, which is commendable. But banks are a different ballgame altogether, insurance in particularly as well. Now, how do you expect that will play out, in terms of opposition to it, etc.?
So sort of nothing is easy in India. I mean, you've had the Hindustan Zinc case being reopened for investigation after 25 years of its investigation. You had one of the hotels in Jodhpur being opened up for investigation after almost 2 decades. I mean, imagine people who'd actually done disinvestment. They've all retired and gone, and they're living on their pensions, and these cases getting opened up. So it's really, really tough. But government has pushed the limits on it. The political and the administrative will to drive it is there, which has been demonstrated, and we'll continue to pursue this with great vigor and energy.
Now, you spoke a little while earlier about the digital economy. Now, there is a 30% tax, which that's the elephant in the room we have to catch you on. There's a 30% tax which has been put on virtual digital assets. Now, there's no mention of the word cryptocurrency at all in the budget, in fact. And then there is the CBDC, which is being rolled or said to be rolled out next year. How do you react? I mean, you've spoken to Business Today in an earlier interview with us, saying, and very rightly so, that there has to be soft touch regulation because blockchain and the cryptocurrency is a reality, right? And not only that, I mean, about 2% of the population invests, you said in that interview, 2% of the population already invested, and that's a large number. So where do you think this 30% tax comes from, and what was the thinking, you think, as the think tank of the government? Why was it done, and what's the road ahead?
I think sort of first and foremost, behind cryptos and digital currency, there's a blockchain technology. And the blockchain technology is real-time, it's highly transparent, and it's a very, very cutting-edge technology. One must understand that. Secondly, what the government has done is to say that India will probably be amongst the first few countries to have a digital currency. That means your paper currency would be replaced by the digital currency, which the RBI will come. That will be the currency of the country. In India's case, it's slightly, different, because in India, we already have the unified payment interface. We've made a lot of progress, so most of us actually use our mobile to do digital transactions already. India is way ahead. Now, what will happen is you will have the alternative of the digital currency, which will enable you to do both domestic and international payments of Indian rupee. But cryptos is like a virtual asset. It's like mutual fund. It's like gold. It's like bonds, which you and many others, including me, we procure. So crypto is another asset class. Now, this is a new asset class which has come up, and therefore, the government, many people were transacting through cryptos. Many people were buying and selling cryptos. The government was losing out on tax. And therefore, the government has imposed a 1% turnover tax on exchanges, and it has imposed a 30% tax. And that, to my mind, is the right policy regime to go and tax and get the revenue collections which you're losing on. You cannot ban crypto in isolation. You cannot, because it's a global phenomenon, and therefore you need global cooperation. Moreover, it's like saying that you're going to ban the internet. You can't ban the internet. It's like saying that you're going to ban, geographical maps because some terrorists are going to use it. You cannot do that. It's not possible. It'll also lead to flight of capital. Same people will go to Singapore or Dubai and start doing the same thing. It'll lead to flight of capital. It'll lead to flight of skilled manpower. There's a possibility that as we go ahead, you can make India the center of cutting-edge technology. And therefore, the right policy regime is to tax it and to make it, very transparent to everybody that we also have a turnover tax, and that's the way to go.